Coin.
Hey there, YouTube coin community. It's Dustin with CoinOp, and today we are going to be taking a look at some 2018 and 2019 Lincoln Shield scent varieties. Now we're going to be looking at some very particular ones. These ones that we are going to be taking a look at were all found by the same person. So if you're looking through, which I've got doubledie.com pulled up right now, John Wexler's website, doubledie.com. If you were to pull that up, when you're looking at your double dies and your die varieties, it always has on there who got credit for first discovering that variety. Well, Chris Hurley, has been a fan of CoinOp for a long time, and he has found quite a few of these beautiful double dies. I mean, if you go through a lot of John Wexler's records, you're going to find his name in there quite a bit. Now, you're going to find varieties in there also listed that were discovered by his son. So both Chris and his son are experts when it comes to finding these double dies while coin searching. So if they can do it, I can do it, Robert can do it, you can do it too. So when you do find something, and this is kind of why I wanted to show you this, that when you do find something that you feel is a new variety, well, right here I've got doubledie.com pulled up, which is John Wexler's website. If you do think that you have a new variety and if you can't find a listing for it, well, you can send them to John Wexler. Let's see if where he's got his submission spot, but you can send them to him and he'll attribute them for you. If you were to go to Coin Examinations, he has on here that if you suspect that you have a coin that are double dies, RPMs, OMMs, or other die varieties and would like to find out if they are indeed genuine die varieties, send them into him. And he doesn't charge very much money. It's right here, $4 per coin. And if you want both sides of the coin attributed, then it's only $5 per coin. So there you go. But before you do send him anything, make sure you read this really, really well. Follow all of his little instructions. John Wexler is excellent to deal with. He's a very wonderful man. So that's how you end up sending them in to somebody such as John Wexler. But yeah, you could go over to places like Variety Vista. Dr. Wiles will also do coin examinations. You can always send coins into PCGS, NGC, or Annex, but make sure you put it in for attribution. And do keep in mind it's going to be a much more expensive fee sending it into a third-party coin grader as opposed to somebody such as John Wexler. But anyhow, we are going to go over to his double die listings, which if you look down on the side over here, it says double die listings. So we're going to go to his double die listings, and we are going to come down to the Shield Scent double dies. So there they are right there. We're going to click on that. Now, if you look, he's got in here his completed lists from 2010 all the way up until 2019 Denver Mints. So there's a lot of different Shield scent varieties. Now, do keep in mind, 2020 is here upon us. So as the 2020s get released, start searching those. But we're going to take a look at the 2019s. Now, there are a bunch of different double dies for the 2019. So do keep in mind there are a bunch of double dies for that. And we're going to go to the first one that we find Chris Hurley's name on. And it's right here. So the first one that we're going to come across is the 2019 WDDO-002. Now this one shows moderate extra thickness that will show on the date and on Liberty. Now notching will show on the upper left corners of the ER and TY in Liberty, which we're looking at right now. So if you're looking at these upper left corners, you should be able to see the mouse. Let me bring this up a little bit higher. Right in here, you can see these little notches. That is definitely a sign of doubling. Of course, it's nice and thick. There you go. There's what the date looks like. The date does show some extra thickness, especially the 9 and the 0, in my opinion. So that is the WDDO-002, 2019 WDDO-002. There we go. Now, there are die markers. John Wexler does list die markers for these varieties. I do strongly encourage you to pay attention to die markers. That is not really something I've discussed much in videos. Maybe I should do an entire video on understanding the die markers. But all of these 2019 WDDO-002s should have this small die gouge that can be found to the right on the center of R in Liberty. So that can be found to the right of the center of the R in Liberty. It looks like a little die gouge sticking out right there. But the die markers can be very, very useful for helping you figure out what you're looking at. So do pay attention to when it does say die markers. Okay, now we're going to move down to a 2019 WDDO-005. So this is WDDO-005. Now this one, extra thickness shows on Liberty, with the upper left branch of the Y being thicker than the upper right branch of the Y. And what they're talking about, if you're looking at Liberty, now this does have some extra thickness. It almost looks like it's ready to start showing some splits. But if you're paying attention to the branch of the Y, do you notice this side is much thicker than this side? And it's typically not like that. Die marker on this one, on the reverse, a die chip can be found on the top left side of the shield north of the first U in Pluribus. See, there you go. There's the die chip they're talking about. Now that's kind of an obvious die marker. Those are the die markers that I like. So any of this double die, if you find this 2019 WDDO-005, it looks like this on the front, it should have this die chip on the reverse. Okay, we're going to move on to a 2019 WDDO-006. WDDO-006. Again, this was discovered by Mr. Christopher Hurley. Now on this one, extra thickness shows on Liberty. Now if you look, sometimes you're not going to find die markers listed. There's nothing significant listed for die markers. When you're looking at this one, the WDDO-006, pay attention to Liberty. It's very thick. Lots of extra thickness in Liberty. Should not be that thick. All right, now here is one found by Christopher Hurley's son, Nicholas Hurley. Now this is a 2019 WDDO-007. Again, this is another one that shows extra thickness, but this time the extra thickness shows on the date. It is the most obvious on the date, especially if you're looking at that 2. That's a lot thicker than it should be. It has a little notch right up in here. 0. About twice as thick as it should be. You can almost see where it's about to start splitting on the 9. Has a little bit of a notch and indent. That's a very nice double die. It's a very beautiful double die. Now on this one, die markers on the obverse, there's nothing significant. On the reverse, there's a pre-die chip depression that can be found on the top left of the shield north of the L in Pluribus. So let's see if they have a photo of that. There it is, right there. So this is a die chip that's about to break out of there. It hasn't fully broken out yet. I'm almost going to assume that on late state die specimens, that chip might be broken out on them. But there you go. That's a very nice die marker. So if you find this doubling, you should be able to match up with this die marker on the reverse. Yeah, that's a beautiful double die. Okay, moving on. We are going to come to a 2019 WDDO-008. WDDO-008. This is another one discovered by Chris Hurley. And this one shows extra thickness on the letters of Liberty, with the left of the Y thicker than the upper right of the Y. So if you look at the left side of the Y on Liberty, it is much, much thicker than the other side. Now this one does show some extra thickness. And let's take a look at some of the die markers. On the adverse, a small die gouge can be found inside the upper Y of Liberty. This is a little difficult to see in here. There should be a small die gouge inside of there. The reverse is a double die listed as 2019 WDDR-001. So we're going to scroll down and we're going to take a look at the double die reverse listing for this one and see if we can't find the die chip that should be found on the top left of the shield north of the PU Pluberus. So let's scroll down. Okay, here's the WDDR-001. Let's see here. Extra thickness shows the letters of Liberty. Verse. The die chip can be found on the top left of the shield, north of P and Pluberus. Whoop, there it is. And there's the die chip right in here. So, yep, there you go. That's a very nice die marker. So, the 2019 WDDO-008 is a dual variety. It is a WDDO-008 and it's also a WDDR-001. Both of those double dies were attributed to Chris Hurley. Now, if you're looking at the reverse of it, you can see obvious doubling, in my opinion, on the initials. This is a lot thicker than the initials should be, and you've got clear notch right up here in the left edges, the top of the letters right there. And then if you're looking at the how fat the base of the L is, that's crazy. It should not look anything like that at all. That's a beautiful double die reverse. So back to where we left off. Okay, so that's what we just got done looking at. We were just looking at the reverse of this coin right here. It is paired up with that double die reverse, WDDR-001. Now we're going to move on to a 2019 WDDO-009. This one was submitted by Nicholas Hurley. Noticing the Hurley name quite a bit here, aren't you? Okay, on this one, significant extra thickness shows on the date. Yep, it is definitely thicker. And this one does have some die markers. On these ones, that has parallel die scratches that runs from north-northeast from the top of the chin. So if you look, you see all these die scratches? These grains running in north-northeast pattern. Those are the die scratches that they're talking about. What causes that is they were polishing the die, and it'll cause these little die abrasions. So if you find this double die, it will have these die scratches. Okay, here's another one found by Nicholas Hurley. This is a 2019 WDDO-010. WDDO-10. Significant extra thickness shows on the date and on Liberty, where the upper left of the Y is much thicker than the upper right. Again, take a look at that. So the upper left of this Y is more than double the thickness of that. Also, it almost looks like some notching coming in on the tips of the E, R, and T, and on the Y. You can see a little bit of notching down at the base. It's a beautiful double die. I really like this one. Okay, this one does have some die markers. A small die gouge, a dot, can be found to the right of the upper Y in Liberty. There it is. Right there. Bing, bing, bing. And on the reverse, a small die chip can be found on the top left of the shield north of the eye in Pluribus. There it is. So there's some beautiful die markers for you. Beautiful double die. Okay, we're going to finish up the 2019s with a best of variety. This is the 2019 WDDO-011. WDDO-011. This is my favorite one. Other than the 2015, this would be my favorite one in the Shield Sense series. This one was submitted and attributed to Christopher Hurley. Now this one shows massive extra thickness on the date with strong doubling to the left of the lower part of the nose. Moderate extra thickness shows on Liberty with the upper right of the Y much thicker than the upper left of the Y. Notching shows on the lower left corners of ERTY in Liberty, and extra thickness shows on In God We Trust, where it increases as you move from left to right. I did show this one in a video I just did on the top 5 modern shield scents that you should be searching for. I strongly encourage you to look for this one. To me, this one's naked eye visible. When I see one of these, I can spot this thing. It is so thick in the date. It's just ridiculous. And then when you're looking at Liberty, you can clearly see it. I just really think, I mean, look at the Y. Look at how fat the right side of the Y is compared to the left. And then, I mean, look at the T. You can see how it's coming down. You can almost see the line separation in the E and the R. You can almost see it in the B. It's a very beautiful double dye. Very, very beautiful. Especially looking up at Trust. I love seeing it on the U. The U just looks like it's been spread across. It's cool. I really like that double dye. I just think this is a gorgeous double dye. Okay, let's see. A small dye gouge. This is a dye marker. A small dye gouge, a dot, can be found to the right of the bridge of the nose. Let's take a look here. Whoop, there it is. Got a loose booger. There you go. Very, very beautiful. Okay, we're going to backtrack to the 2018s real quick. As again, these guys have a whole bunch of them. So we are going to start the 2018s by taking a look at the WDDO-002. Again, this was submitted by Chris Hurley. Now this one, moderate extra thickness, shows on the date and very slightly on Liberty. When looking at the date, especially the 2, the 0, the 8, you can see the fatness. I like looking at the 2 and the 0. Now if you're looking at Liberty, you can kind of see it. It's much tougher to see it on Liberty. You can see I'm starting to notch down at the bases. That's going to be your dye gouge. Let's take a look at these dye markers. With the dye markers, you've got a small dye gouge that can be found north of the E in Liberty. So let's take a look here. North of the E in Liberty. There it is. There's the dye gouge. And then on the reverse, a die crack with several die chips runs across the top left of the shield. Let's take a look at that. There it is. Right there. So those are 2 very obvious die markers if you were to come across this beautiful double dye. Okay, we are going to move on to the 2018 WDDO-005. WDDO-005. Now on this one, moderate extra thickness shows on Liberty, with the upper left branch of the Y in Liberty being thicker than the upper right branch of the Y. So the upper left is going to be thicker than the upper right, and it's not much thicker, but it definitely is. I can actually see the thickness through all of the lettering. This is much thicker than it should be. Now let's take a look at die markers. There's none significant for the obverse, but on the reverse, they have a small die gouge can be found to the left of the upper first A in America. Okay. You see it right there. That's the one right there. So you got some die gouges right there. Okay. And that was discovered and Nicholas Hurley. Okay, we're going to move on to some reverse varieties. This is a 2018 WDDR-001. Now, the description of this one is light extra thickness shows on the designer's initial LB. Now, this one was discovered by Christopher Hurley. Again, this guy has a great eye. He must be using a USB microscope and looking at these, because even just with a standard jeweler's loupe, this might be a little difficult to see. Now, there is definitely extra thickness on the designer's initials, and you can almost see it getting ready to spread. This is what it should look like. These are normal designer's initials right here. That's what it looks like on a normal coin. This is what it looks like on this one. So, it's definitely thicker. It's jumbled up. It's got some issues going on. Now, On the obverse, there is a die marker that's a short vertical die scratch that can be found inside the upper left of the U in trust. Let's see if they show that. Oh, there it is. There it is. There's a wonderful die marker. That is a great die marker, because that one stands out. So if you happen to see this on the obverse of your coin, you might want to flip it over and take a look at those initials. Now on the reverse, a die chip can be found on the top left of the shield north of the eye in Plutus. Oh, and there it is. And there's the reverse die marker to help you verify it. Okay, we're going to move on to a 2018 WDDR-002. This one was discovered by Nicholas Hurley. Now this one, light extra thickness, shows on the designer's initial LB. So again, we have, it's different than what Chris's is, but it's very similar. Again, it shows extra thickness. Now, if you're taking a look at the B, it's definitely different than what Chris's was. Here's how it should look. Here's how his looks. Now, this one, there are no obvious die markers whatsoever. So if you have it that looks like this and you can't find a die marker, well, you know you got the WDDR-002. There you go, everybody. I just really wanted to show everybody that having a good eye, if you know what you're looking for, you can find amazing varieties. Keep in mind that, you know, Chris Hurley and his son Nicholas, when they're looking at these, none of these varieties that I showed you were discovered yet. These were the first ones to discover them and get credit for them. And if you go through all over Wexler's website looking at the Lincoln Cents, you're going to find Chris Hurley's name on a lot of discoveries. And you can do that too. Robert Lawson has a ton of varieties that he's discovered that you can find his name as the person who discovered them. Now with Chris, with his, let me go back to this, with his one find, and I love this one. This is my favorite one out of all of his finds, which is the 2019 WDDO, oh, I went to the wrong one, 2019 WDDO-011, double die 11, let me get to it. This thing is just, it's a beautiful, beautiful double die. Very strong, very beautiful, best of variety. Now this one right here, I was messaging with him, and Chris had told me that Ken Potter and Brian Allen are getting ready for the 5th edition of Strike It Rich with Pocket Change, and they actually included his 2019 DDO-011. So that is pretty impressive, and that's from Chris Hurley directly. That's freaking cool. I love it when somebody that I'm talking to about coins, I end up finding out that they're getting put in like one of Ken Potter's books or one of the Cherry Pickers books. It always just, it's mind-blowing to me. It's awesome. I love it. Well, everybody, I definitely hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, click on that thumbs up button. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you'd like to see. If you have ever found any of these beautiful double dies, or you have gotten credit for discovering a double die, let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you found. I love hearing what you found. If you're not yet subscribed to our channel, click on that subscribe button. While you're at it, click on the notification bell. That way you get notified immediately when we upload new content. Well, everybody, until next time, have fun.